Hey everyone, it's Nixie, and I am finally back from my Europe trip, and I want to go over my Calling London deck list that I brought to that tournament. I had a lot of fun because not only did this deck do really well, but I got to meet a lot of fans that came and just said hi to me. So if you're one of them, thanks a lot. That always makes me feel like my videos are helping people and just gives me more motivation to make these videos for people. So for this video, I just want to quickly go over how the deck performed and then dive into the deck list itself and why I chose the cards that I chose. But before we get started, I do want to say thanks to you for watching, as well as my Patreon members who also support me financially. I really appreciate it very much, and I hope to see you in person in the future. Alright, so for those that follow me on Patreon, you already know how my events went, so I'm not going to go too deep into it here. And if you aren't a member yet, might be a good time to go check it out. Just join as a free member to go look at my event list and how it went. So the deck that I brought is a CYB downblade list I've been iterating on for a while now. Something that I was trying out even before Sao Paulo results came out. And I was surprised how well it did for other people too, so it gave me confidence in the list. And yeah, I've been playing with it and iterating it, and it's been doing pretty well, but it's against Talishar people. I don't play on a team or anything like that, so I can't really test against high level players. But again, on Talishar, it was doing really well, so deciding between two deck lists, I decided to just go with the CYB list because it felt pretty good to me. So on Friday when I got there, since I wasn't playing the PT, I played some side events. So the first one I did was a Sink Below CC event, and I went 4-0. And I beat two Auroras, a Riptide, and a Jarl. So that was pretty good. Then later on the day, I played in a Super Armory, and I went 4-0 again, beating two Enigmas this time, one Aura and a new. So I was feeling really good about the deck. And we all know Aurora and Enigma was going to be a high representation of the Calling, so beating them here gave me a big boost in confidence. Then on Saturday for the Calling, I'm not going to go over every single detail, but I ended up going 6-3, which is not enough to get into day 2. So that was kind of a bummer, and my 3 losses was into 2 Auroras, which was really not too much of a game. They just got the Arc Lightnings and I didn't draw well, so can't do too much there. But the one Enigma game, I threw so hard. Basically, I was gonna win next turn. I just had to block, and I thought I could go to 1, and their arm piece was cloaked. I thought it was Uphold Traditions, but it ended up being Wave of Aquamarine or something. And that one could buff any attack by 1, so I ended up dying. I could have blocked with my Tunic if I wanted to, and I was thinking about it for a while too, but I didn't think it was gonna be that card. So super big throw from me, and I was like beating myself about that for a while, and I think I even had like a nightmare about it. Like, why didn't I block on it? And I just something I remember for a while now. But anyway, went 6-3, and then later on the day I played some side event CC games. And I went 2-1, beating a Florian, Slippy, and then losing to a blue pitch player that was on Enigma. But I asked if he could play again because, again, I wanted to play against high-level players. So I just want to see how my deck does against them, so I wanted to play one more time. And I was able to beat them by choosing to go second and just having tempo the whole time. And yeah, so beating him made me feel a little bit better. So overall, this deck went 10-1 in side event CC games, and again 6-3 at the Calling, which, you know, again, I didn't make day 2, which sucks, but I think that's still very impressive for Dory, which everyone kind of like put in a C, maybe D tier. And I think this deck actually does really good, and I want to share how I came up with it. So let's go over the deck itself. Alright, so let's talk about the deck itself. So starting off with the equipment up here is my aggressive equipment of the bracers, crown, downblade, grains, and bolters. And then the main deck I have here is 60 cards that I want to use to pretty much race most of the time, so it's a very aggressive package. And then the sideboard here is just my defensive package with the CYB. So you have the red, yellow, 2 Oasis, shelters, 1 snag, and the rest of the equipment of tunic, kabuto, and no rune hood. So let's start talking with my main 60 that I mainly run for just aggressive decks I run into, like Aurora, Enigma, Prism, Syndra, and things like that. So I'm not gonna go through every single card because some of them are self-explanatory, like Blade Flurry you want 3 of. Commanding Performance. Now, this card I found to be pretty good. I know some people want something else like Dauntless, but I found that Dauntless sometimes is just a 3 pump, and when the opponent doesn't have a D react, it just doesn't do anything else. Commanding Performance, on the other hand, is pretty good into the meta right now, especially with a lot of people running some good attack action decks like Aurora, Syndra, Zen. Well, he's gone now, but you know, things like that. Even Florian turns off their ability to use their Purgatory, or if they do, they lose their Arsenal, so it's a pretty good card. I've found it to work pretty well, so that's why I have it right now. Response, I only run 2 of, not 3. Ideally, I do run 3, but I just don't have the space to run 3. And in a aggressive deck, when you're fighting against like Aurora, you really just need 2. You don't really need a 3rd one because it could end up getting stuck, so 2 is fine. And by running 2, most of the time your opponents will expect you have a 3rd one, so they'll play around it anyway. So 2 is good enough most of the time. Jagged Edge I am running 3 of because you really needed it for the Enigma matchup to make sure you have it naturally or be able to search for it. So this is one I was running 3 of. In the future meta without Enigma, the stock of it does go down, but it's still pretty good with Prism and their ward allies, as well as some of these decks running Seed of Tomorrow and other prevention effects that are happening right now. So it could be pretty good to still run 3 of. And then Lead with Speed has been pretty good for me. So 1 costs 3 attack, it makes an agility token. The agility is very nice to set up for something with like a Supremacy or Commanding Performance, and works very well with this deck that runs 3 Twinning Blades. So I like it to have 2 of, but this is also consideration. Maybe instead of Lead with Speed, you can run Dauntless if you want to. But then I do start running low on my goal again, so maybe I still do want to keep the Lead with Speeds. And Punctures, Reds, it's just good reaction of cards, so running through that. Now Spoils of War, I am just running 1 of, and it's a bit weird. 1 of used to be a really good card, but lately it's just been falling a little bit behind, so it's been cut down to 1. Still 1 run because I like the go again. Very nice, especially since I am running 3 copies of Twinning, but I don't like it because of the red pitch. So just a 1 of at the moment. And you have your Supremacy, Unsheath, red and blue Valors. And then the yellow Valors I'm starting to like more and more of because coming in at 5 is very nice. Goes over 4 block D reacts very easily, so they require 2 cards to block this out. The yellow pitch is nice. So I'm running 2 of it at the moment. And then 1 Chorus of Iron Song is because sometimes a 3 Jagged is not enough and you run out of it, and you just need something else to go through the prevention effects, so Chorus is nice for that. And having 1 of it makes the opponent think you're running maybe 2 or 3, so they have to play around it as well. Also, blocking with this kind of nice for the +1 because then it turns on your Unsheath, so that's also nice too. So having 1 of that. And then Glistening Steel Blade. A lot of people are starting to be off of this card, but I still really like it because it's just a very aggressive card and demands blocks, or else you start just running away with the game. So just having 2 is nice. I used to run 3, but I cut 1 to have another Yellow Warrior's Valor. So just at 2 at the moment. And then 1 Determination, because I usually try to pitch this early if I'm playing the late game to use it when the opponent doesn't have any blocks or it doesn't have any armor blocks and D-reacts left. So very nice there. Or sometimes you just get the God Hand with Determination and Supremacy with Unsheath or something like that. So just having 1 of is nice. Singing, still very good to be able to search any card. The flexibility is very good. And in the Enigma matchup, this was also important because this is another way that you could get your jagged edges to go over your opponent's blocks. So having 3 of those is good. And 3 Twinnings. I know some people aren't even on Twinnings, maybe they're on 1, but I'm still running 3 in this list because I do have a good amount of natural Golgans. So once you start getting counters, opponents are incentivized to overblock with their hands to try to reset counters, so Twinning is able to go around that. So having 1 key blowout churn is very good. There are some arguments to say you could go down to 2, and I agree, you could go down to 2. However, recently I got to play my 3 extended art Twinning blades, which is really cool. And also I got those signed by James White. So I just want to be able to play them, show them off, so that's why I'm running 3. But if you run 2, that's fine too. I think you should at least run 2. 1 is kind of hard because that's like your only 1 bailout card. If you ever block with it, it feels really bad. So I think you want to run 2 at minimum. And then going to the blues, you have your Emboldened Blade. This card I added recently just because I felt a lot of people running D-reacts. And just being able to read opponents and blowing it up is pretty good. So that's why I run it. It replaced my blue Dauntless, which was okay. But I think Emboldened Blade has a bigger impact if you're able to pull it off. So I'm running 2 of those right now. Glints and Hit and Runs, don't really need to talk about it. They're very good cards. Nip at the Heels, I'm just running 1 of because you just need to go over by 1 on these attacks to hit. So having their opponent waste a full D-react when you're just going over 1 feels bad for them and feels good for you. So just 1 of. And then the blue Overpower is just for very late game. Having a nice pump to go over by 4 is nice. And then we go into Provoke. So this card, a lot of people are not really high on, but I like it a lot. Especially when I tie with something like Commanding Performance. Forcing the opponent to try to like not blow up their arsenal is very interesting. Also, the obvious play of trying to churn on Reprise is pretty good with it. And at late game against something like even Florian or Verdance, you know, they're trying to go for a big stack and you just strip a card because they're not blocking anymore. It's pretty big and they have to wait another turn to go off. So yeah, I like the Provoke a lot, so I'm running 3 of it at the moment. And then we have, I'm gonna skip these 2 and go to Trot Along. Trot Along is just very good, replaces Precision Press, the 0 cost is very nice. And then I'm gonna talk about Shunts, where I'm running 2 of them because my deck doesn't have that much defense reactions. In my sideboard, I only have shelters, no sinks or that's all you got or anything like that. So I was in need of some form of defense reactions in the blue slot, and I could have used Hold the Line, but I like the Shunt being able to close out games sometimes when the opponent's at 1, and also against Enigma to maybe snipe their Spectral Shields or Mirror Guy if they just swing with no resource up is pretty cool. So I'm running 2 of it. And then 1 Snag main board. I don't really want it main board, but I just don't have room because I want to have at least 2 Snag at the moment, because Snag is just a big blowout card against Assassins, and there are a lot of Assassins running around when I was playing. Even in the Calling, I got a big Snag off when the opponent doubled just the Nick on a Bonds, and then I just played Snag and the opponent just conceded right after, so yeah, it's just a big blowout card. So it's like my pseudo defense reaction against Assassins. And also nice into decks that have Pummel. So yeah, that's why it's on main board at the moment. And then going to sideboard, we have the CYB, 6 of them. We have Oasis because I like Oasis. I just think it's a really strong card, especially when I'm running Tunic. For these matches, I'm going to be running Oasis. To be able to prevent it, like on a Kiss of Death, is pretty nice because they usually have Toxin to back up the Kiss of Death, so blocking with the card is kind of meaningless. Also, having Oasis makes it so my Kano matchup isn't like a 0% matchup. Being able to draw into Oasis early before they go off just pretty much seals the game for me, and I'm pretty much win at that spot. So it makes like a 50-50 matchup. And yeah, also using on like Florian's Broccoli is pretty important, because if not, they'll just chip you down. So having 2 of those is kind of nice. And of course, Shelters, just very good at the moment. You could use Sinks instead of Shelters, but I found Shelters to be just a little bit better in the current meta. The flexibility to have it prevent just 1 damage over 3 links is very nice, to make it into like a Rune Chant blocker or dagger blockers, flicks. Yeah, it's just a very strong card at the moment. So I'm running 3 of those as my only defense reactions, and the 1 other snag. And then my equipment, I have Tunic, Kabuto, and No Run Hood. For Kabuto, very good into Enigma, so that's why I was mainly run. Just being able to stop their wide boards and then come back with a Jagged Edge to clear the board was really huge. I think I had like 1 or 2 games with that. So I think it was very important in the calling meta, in the future meta without Enigma. The stock of this may go down, but if there's more warriors, like Fangs, Dories, or anything else, it may be still good. It also like it's gonna be good into Chi Frog Dash 2, so I guess even Dash IO will be pretty good. So maybe it still sticks around. I'm not sure. Have to evaluate it. And then the hood, of course, just 1 no ruin is good enough. So as you can see, I don't have any CNC, which is something I always like to play with. It's just that I didn't have any room for it. Since my 60 here, I wanted to keep as much Dawnblade threat as possible. So that's why I don't have CNCs. And then it was also nice to be able to protect myself against Codex without any CNCs or any attack actions. The CYBs was very nice to play against a lot of decks when I was playing, because sometimes they're not expecting the CYB from the Dory, and they're trying to race me, and I'm just healing life after like overblock or something. So then I could use my life as a cushion later on, while I'm threatening with my aggressive package of the 60 that I still have. So it was very nice. I'm not sure in the future if people start realizing a lot of Dories are on CYB now. They might start packing some CYB hate like Poison the Well and other cards to deny your CYBs. So maybe it might not be as good in the future, but for now I like it. Just the access of being able to play after overblock or just swinging, presenting like a bluff, and then causing them to like overblock or not block because they're afraid that it's gonna get blown out anyway, and then playing the CYB after is pretty big. Yeah. Personally, before I didn't really like it, but after playing with it, the flexibility of not IPing yourself is just so nice, being able to play it out instance. You have so many 3 blocks anyway, so sometimes these instants don't really hurt. And CYB was also really big into the Riptides that I played, where they couldn't do anything. And I would just like heal and just swing Dawnblade back and forth without pumping anything. I ended up fatiguing them. Even though one was built to fatigue, I was able to out-fatigue them. So yeah, I think overall this deck is very solid. It might struggle still into Florian that stacks, and maybe Verdance that combos, but I think it has a better chance than normal Dory lists at the moment. So I think I'll keep with this for the PQ if I do play it. I'm not even sure if I'm going to. I'm kind of like pretty tired from traveling and everything, and going right back into competition is kind of hard. But I might tweak some cards here and there. Yeah, give it a shot. Let me know your thoughts on this deck. It performed very well for me. So looking forward to your guys' feedback, and good luck in your guys' PQ season. That's it for now. Until next time, take care.